First Trades, presented by BSC, Investors Protection Fund.
Hi there, you're watching First Trades. It's a countdown to market opening. Let's get you a quick check on what's happening in the global currency and commodities market. First up, the yen. Remember, yesterday the yen had seen some recovery, but it's down again as all stocks on the Nikkei have gained some ground. This on the back of comments coming out from the Bank of Japan, which is skewed more towards stimulus. Now, what is happening as far as crude goes? Crude has seen some recovery. This is because stockpiles in the US, we understand, have fallen to their lowest levels since the past almost 11 months. A similar picture coming out as far as gold goes. Now, gold has also seen some recovery. This is because, investors are testing the waters to see what is really going to happen once the US stimulus rollback does happen. Gold, remember, has been trading at almost 34-month lows for a while now. With that, it's back to you guys.
Thanks for that, Sunanda. Joining us now is Dhananjay Sinha. He's from Emkay Global Financial Services. Dhananjay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm going to begin by asking you, we seem to be starting off on a good note this week. Markets have a lot of energy in them, probably hoping for a specific kind of outcome from the state elections. How are you viewing where the markets are currently, and can we test new highs at this point of time?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure whether the markets will test the new high or create new highs. We have seen a certain high, earlier highs being tested by the market, and there is a certain sell-off that happens from there. I think the broader context for the market is that the market psychology seems to be working towards a situation where if the market remains range-bound at these levels, I'm talking about the benchmark indices, there will be certain catch-up that can happen, or investors are looking to see a certain catch-up with respect to valuation from the broader market. So I think that is how the market is actually playing out at this juncture. I think a lot will depend on, I think other important thing that is relevant for the market and something that has been closely watched is what could happen to the out of the state elections. So I think the key thing is that the consensus view is that the BJP would actually win in 3 out of 4 state elections, and the results will be announced on 8th. So I think that is something that will be very critically watched. My own sense is that it will be somewhere around 2 out of 4. Essentially Delhi election is most likely going to be a tripolar kind of outcome, and between Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh it is neck to neck. So I think our view is that it will be somewhat lesser than the consensus view. So if that outcome happens, I think there can be a certain volatility in the market. So I think we'll have to wait for the election outcome, state election outcome. That's the near-term trigger.
Sure. All right, then just hold that thought. I'm going to come back and get some sectoral perspective as well, but just want to address the currency markets first in terms of the kind of open, what we've seen in the pre-open for the equity side as well as on the rupee itself. Yesterday's close came in around about 62.32 is what we'd seen as far as the rupee was concerned. So let's see, there's been a whole host of macro data that we've picked up. There's been a little bit of a positive cue as well coming in from the CAD number that came out yesterday. And well, that's what seems to be the indication where the markets have actually started off tad bit higher is what we've seen. This marginal improvement there, 62.29, 62.28 is where it's hovering at currently. So the currency market's also taken a little bit of a positive cue there. So the equity markets have started, the pre-open though suggesting a little bit of a negative start. In fact, I believe we have Mr. K. Hariyar, Head of Treasury at First Hand Bank, joining on the phone line. Hariyar, morning and thanks for taking the call. Your thoughts on all the macro pointers that we picked up yesterday and its impact on the currency?
I think overall the macros are looking pretty good. If you look at the CAD numbers, most of it was discounted because the trade numbers come out every month. And the software and the inward remittance is also reasonably predictable. But the fact that it's printed at 5 billion reaffirms the fact that the CAD looks very much under the control and could for the full year actually come in at $50 billion than below, which is well below the $88 billion of last year. I think that's a big plus. The final numbers that have come out for the swap window if the banks can borrow an FCNRB, that again, a 34 is a very strong number. So I think the fundamentals are looking very, very good, coming on the back of the good GDP growth number. The only thing probably that's jarring a little bit is a slightly softer core sector growth. But I think the PS numbers, which are more advanced indicators, are looking good if they reach 50. So I think the normal fundamentals are looking good. As far as the currency is concerned, I think there's a couple of small factors you have to worry about. Is the fact that the dollar index is perking up abroad, and the US 10YT is also going up. It's gone to 280. That's a bit of a worry. Locally, again, we've heard yesterday that there is a process of normalization which has really taken off completely, and the oil cos are now buying the dollars in. That's an extra average of $15 billion a month that will come into the market. You've got to see how the rupee behaves. So if there are positives which will make the rupee a bit stronger, I think the rupee will not really strengthen beyond a point, because you will see the oil companies buying not just their daily requirements, but also their forwards, as has been indicated yesterday. So probably yesterday, as you saw, 62 breach did happen, but there was a lot of buying that happened below 62. So probably, the rupee will range, and if it by chance gets stronger, you'll see a lot of buying entering the market.
In fact, just as we've been speaking, Harihar, the rupee is weakened slightly from where it had opened. It's at about 62.39 right now. We shut shop at 62.32 yesterday. Like you were mentioning about the OMC's dollar demand, what did you make of the RBI's comments yesterday, Harihar? They're saying that if there is a need, they will come out with special swap windows for the OMC's dollar demand, and they could look at other options, including rupee settlement. So clearly, a lot of options on the table right now to contain the volatility in the currency.
I think that's the key. As you mentioned, they want to contain the volatility. So some of the numbers are public, as I mentioned. We know the oil companies are importing $180 billion a year, and they think they're going to come out daily. We also know that it's going to be $15 a month. So how do you kind of evenize the market? So I think this is a lovely kind of statement they made to the market, that in case the rupee weakens, maybe goes to 63, then the oil companies can be pulled off the market with the RBI providing them dollars. It could either be on the swap window, or they could buy it outright. So I think they've taken the panic off the market, and they're probably going to be the equalizer who comes and kind of evenizes the market, leaving the market on its own steam. But I think overall, I think we're clearly far away from the July-August sector. And one little point to note also is that this month so far, the bond market for the first time since June have actually seen net positive inflows of 900 crores till yesterday. So who knows? I think the bond market has to really now take charge, because the equity markets, people will wonder how much steam is left in terms of inflows from FIs. But if the bond markets look good and the interest rates look softer, I think we could see some support for the rupee coming in from there.
All right, Mr. Harihar, we leave it there. Thanks so much for joining in, getting us a quick perspective as far as currency markets are concerned and what the outlook looks like. 62.4 is where the rupee is being trading currently. All right, we've been in conversation with Dhananjay Sinha, co-head institutional research at Emkay Global Financial Services, over the last couple of minutes as well. Dhananjay, now in terms of sectoral strategy, then going forward from here, what's the preference and what's the view there?
Yeah, I think, our sectoral view is largely linked to the way we believe the economy will pan out and how earnings will look like. So essentially what we are really looking at is a situation where export sector will continue to outperform. So by and large we have been overweight the export sector. That's something that we will maintain. So essentially over here we are overweight IT sector, wherein we have large cap and mid cap ideas over there. We still look at the pharma space, which has undergone certain corrections. So I think those are opportunities to actually buy in. In the auto space, companies such as export-oriented companies such as Tata Motors, Motherson. These are companies which we like. We do not believe that the OEMs, domestic OEMs, are out of the woods as of now. We are not so positive on the commercial vehicle space and also the passenger vehicles. Domestic triggers for autos also look positive with respect to the two-wheeler space, and I think in the run-up to the election and the fact that there will be certain spending that will be happening, so I think some of the two-wheeler names will actually benefit from there. we are not very positive on the rate sensitive yet, because we believe that rates are likely to remain firm, and we foresee the inflation momentum gathering pace in the coming months. So we are somewhat conservative on that. So we are not very bullish on that, bullish on capital goods, for instance, except for a few names such as L&T. Then we are overweight on the agri themes. We believe that the good monsoon that has panned out, and the larger spending that the government has done in this area has actually been moving the revenue growth for the agri space. I think that is a sector again where we have been overweight.
Just wanted to get your
banking. We have been underweight. So I think that interest rate view that we talked about.
Dhananjay, just wanted to get your thoughts on Power Grid. That's one stock which will be in focus today ahead of its FPO that opens. Any thoughts on this stock?
Yeah, so we believe that in the stock is ranging around 92, 94 levels, and I think and we think that it's a good opportunity to subscribe. Fundamentally, the company is good, and I think there has been a certain drag on the stock, largely because of the offer. So I think the current price is something that is attractive from a long-term perspective. Generally speaking, we are not very positive on the PSU space, but I think this company fundamentally is looking good, both from a balance sheet standpoint, return standpoint, and also its P&L looks robust. So I think this is a good stock to the current levels which have been offered. I think looks to be good. The general expectation is that it will be somewhere around 94 or something.
Fair. Then just hold our thought. It's time for a quick break right now. But before we do that, just a quick mention as to what we're picking up from the pre-open for you on the equity side. Just pull up both the benchmark indices and the kind of quotes that we're picking up in the pre-open. 0.2% lower is what it seems to be suggesting in terms of the markets could actually open up in the next, or rather live trading could start in the next couple of minutes. And keep one eye out on the currency as well, because that's been weakening a little bit. 62.4 is what we're tracking right now. Quick break and we come back with some more market voices in just 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
First Trades, presented by BSC, Investors Protection Fund.
I'm back.
He's trying to go back in time to the days when he was Hollywood's biggest action hero.
I'll be back.
He was #1 in bodybuilding.
You show off what you have at any given time. So that's what I had then, and that's what I showed off. And I tell you, I showed off plenty of it.
And then governor of the biggest state.
Congratulations, Governor Schwarzenegger.
And now he's at the center of a king-size scandal, having fathered a child with the family housekeeper. Joseph was born almost the same time as Maria and Arnold's 4th child.
It just appeared to me there was something off, that he started looking like me. This is my failure, my screw-ups.
I had to keep saying, wow, he did something that speaks to character. The whole story from Arnold himself.
In association with BP in India, there is technology in this partnership.
No depreciation, no deduction. Get a complete claim with your car insurance. Reliance Private Car Package Policies, nil depreciation cover. To know more, visit us at www.reliancegeneral.co.in or contact us at these numbers. Insurance is the subject matter of solicitation.
Reliance.
Every CEO needs to know his market. It's about growth. It's about strategy. It's being on top of your game. It's really about getting started. Sometimes you need to throw people out of business to stay in business. What a CEO knows, what a CEO needs to know. Let's talk business. watch in business.
First Trades, presented by BSC, Investors Protection Fund.
Hi, you're watching First Trades. Here's a look at the top company news that we're tracking this morning. Bangalore-based Wipro has signed a definite agreement to acquire US-based Opus Capital Markets Consultants for $75 million. The deal is expected to boost Wipro's BFSI vertical. The UK-based steel trader Stemcor has extended the bidding deadline for its Indian assets valued at around $1 billion to the 6th of January. This as the due diligence by bidders including JSW Steel isn't over just yet. And Kane India is exploring options to double its output to 4 lakh barrels a day. Kane, which possesses about $3 billion of cash, plans to drill 450 new fields in Rajasthan this year alone. With that, it's back to you guys.
All right, Sananda, thanks for those quick update as far as some of the corporate developments that we're tracking this morning. But well, over the last couple of minutes, we've been in conversation with Dhananjay Sinha from Emkay Global Financial Services. Dhananjay, the interesting view that we actually, rather interesting comment that we picked up was regarding the consumption space. Unilever CEO saying that there seems to be a little bit of a concern as far as emerging markets are viewed right now in terms of volume outlook. Well, what's the overall thought when we talk about the FMCG space out here, especially HUL ITC, because HUL took a knock of almost 2% in trade yesterday as well. Is there a certain concern emerging in terms of how the volume growth could pan out from here?
Yeah, I think this is something we have been highlighting for a long time. So we believe that in the context of lower growth in disposable income for the household and the high inflation, that's something that has been eating up into the purchasing power of the household. So I think that's an important point that we have been highlighting, and especially in the urban areas. So I think some of these things are actually showing up in the concern as far as volume growth is concerned. Earlier on, FMCG companies like HUL had been riding on the fact that they had actually taken help from price hike, so there was a revenue growth support coming from there. But my sense is that there is a certain negative elasticity that is actually working out in the space. So I think the ability of the companies to actually keep on boosting top line growth either by way of increasing price or boosting the volume growth is something that is waning off. But I think the important thing that we also want to highlight as in the current context is that the elections are likely to stimulate some spending from a government side, and you're seeing that in multiple state elections that the governments have actually been pumping a lot of money.
Sure. Dhananjay, I'll just come back to you and just get that point as far as elections and what it means for the consumption space there. Just want to quickly address what kind of opening we've picked up as far as the benchmark indices are concerned. All right, 38 to 40 points lower is what we've opened as far as the benchmark indices are concerned. So it's been a little bit of a knock, a little bit of a dip is what we've seen in terms of the opening itself. Where is the pressure coming from? HUL's opened in negative. So has ITC, which is down 0.7%. So clearly, as Dhananjay was discussing, there's been a little bit of concern on the FMCG pack in trade today as well. And we've got a little bit of a downtick there. Financials, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank in negative, SBI also down almost 1%. And so is HDFC, which is trading lower by roughly around 1% is what we've seen for that counter. ONGC, 0.4% cut continues for that counter. Another trading day when the stock's seen a little bit of weakness into trade. M&M's trading lower. Hero Motor numbers came out post-market hours. That one's trading a little bit on the negative side. Dr. Reddy's, Hindalco are some of the other stocks that are losing out in trade. Tata Steel, Tata Motors also a little bit on the weaker side. But let's talk about a couple of stocks that are holding on. JSPL's up 1.4. You have L&T once again in positive. TCS is up as well, 0.6% gain there. Wipro on the back of that acquisition news flow that we picked up is up around about 0.2%. Sun Pharma is holding on pretty well. Gale's up around about 1.2, 1.3. Decent recovery on that counter after yesterday's crash. Coal India, Cipla are all trading somewhat in higher territory as far as some of these counters are concerned and the kind of gains that we're seeing there. Let's plot the Nifty for you. Get a quick mention there as well in terms of what's happening as far as that index is concerned. It's a cut of almost 16 to 17 points. 15 stocks gaining, majority of the stocks losing out on the Nifty 50. Now, in terms of individual names, JSPL up around about 1.3, Gales up 1.4, JSPL up 1.3, Lupin, TCS and Kane recovering after the yesterday's cut is what we're seeing. Now, in terms of losers, HDFC is down 1. You got some pressure on JP Associates, a 1% cut there. Axis Bank also losing out. Bank of Baroda and PNB. So the banking stocks have once again turned a little bit on the cautious side as far as today's trade is concerned, because majority of the losers on the Nifty comprised from the banking and the financial space is what we've seen so far. So 6201 Tanvi is the kind of opening that we've seen as far as markets are concerned. Let's see as the trade progresses from here, what kind of move we pick up throughout the day.
Well, mid-caps were a bit in the red. Now we're showing some positive bias, so some strength building in. You've got Amtech India, which is up by 3%. You've got Sanofi up by 3%. PNG is there up by 2.5% at this point of time. And some of the other names like Eicher Motors as well as Puravankara Projects, both of them doing well in trade and showing you a gain of almost 2%. Pfizer is another stock from the pharma pack. In fact, the entire pharma pack yesterday and today are showing a good bit of strength come in. What's not doing so well as far as your mid-caps are concerned, you've got some of your banking names which are not doing that great. Pull up Jet Airways, that's completely flat at this point of time. But on an overall basis, we're looking good, all right as far as the mid-caps are concerned. In conversation with Dhananjay. Dhananjay, just to get some more perspective going, what are you making of the auto sector? I know you spoke about some of your favorites over there like Motherson Sumi, but on the back of the kind of data that we've seen in terms of sales figure, anything else that's on your radar at this point of time?
So we have Hero Motors as our part of our top picks, and we are seeing some recovery in the volume growth. So which has actually inched up to something like 3 to 4%. So that's something we believe will actually sustain in the coming months. So I think that is something that we have been liking. So that's another area where what we like. The other things that we liked was auto ancillary. Within the auto ancillary space, we also liked the battery space. Amara Raja is something that is now our preferred bet within the battery space. We earlier were somewhat positive on Excite, but I think that there has been certain negative surprises there, so we have downgraded. So Amara Raja stands out over there. So that's what we like. So I've told about Tata Motors. We are not so positive on commercial vehicles. We won't play the Ashok Leyland play. So I think that's broadly what we like, and I think within the tractor space also we are seeing volume growth. So Eicher Motor is something that can gain out of it. M&M is actually a mixed bag right now. The XUV sales are actually down, and while tractors are on the higher side. So it's kind of somewhat truncated, but so that's what our view is on tractors.
You just pull off some of the IT names. There's been a little bit of uptake there. TCS is holding on pretty well, 1%. Now Wipro's got a little active. Just pull up the IT stocks for you is what we've said, what we're seeing right now in terms of the way it's panning out. TCS, Wipro, all these stocks, though, in fact, a little bit on the negative side, but TCS and Wipro are making a decent up move. Just try and pull up HCL Tech for you and get a quick mention there as well as to what kind of performance we are picking up on HCL Tech. That one's also holding on pretty well. So the IT counters seem to be just providing some kind of a cushion in this little cut that we've seen as far as markets are concerned. So keep an eye on the IT pack. In fact, Dhananjay, let me get your sense when we talk about the IT pack out here, because that seems to be turning out to be a little bit of a resilient pack once again after a little bit of a sideways move in the last couple of weeks. Is this something that's on your radar going into 2014? Is this a theme to look at?
Yeah, definitely. So, IT space, we like our top picks are Infosys and Wipro, and Mindtree and Tech Mahindra in the mid-cap space. So we are, we are pretty much sanguine on the IT space. We believe that there will be improvement in utilization rate, and we believe that there will be some resilience in pricing power. We see recovery in the US actually translating into improvement in the revenue, dollar revenue growth, and also we believe that in the European territory, which is actually moving out of recession as of now, there does seem to be an additional thrust on revenues coming from there. Apart from that, we do believe that the currency will continue to be on the weakening side, and we have a target of 63 for the year end. We believe that both these things will actually translate into better profitability for the IT space in general. So I think even in 2014, we believe that that sector should actually see a good amount of investor interest.
Just pull up the oil and gas majors, because this once again where the spotlight is. GAIL's up around about 1.6, 1.7% is what we're tracking in terms of developments there. Just pull up the other majors as well. Kane India seeing a little bit of a recovery there. GAIL Industry in 1.6 higher. Kane India up 0.5%. Pull up the other majors, ONGC and Reliance Industries as well. RIL is trading a little bit on the muted side. ONGC also down just marginally though by around about 0.2% is what we're tracking. Reliance Industries there down by around about 0.1% is what we're tracking. Dhananjay, what about this space? There's been tremendous amount of news flow. You got that overhang regarding the royalty payments for ONGC. Reliance Industries got the news flow regarding what could actually mean if those gas prices actually do come into effect from the 1st of April itself. So there's been tremendous news flow. GAIL also had some concerns regarding the pipeline itself. Well, is this sector to watch out as well in terms of valuations right now, in terms of some of the way the clarity seems to be emerging? Would you look at the oil and gas majors or would you avoid it?
Yeah, I think, see, in 2014, that, and even the current context, we are seeing certain positive news with respect to policies. So I think with respect to gas price, I think there is likelihood of increase in the gas prices. It should be positive for Reliance over a period of time. So I think Reliance is something that we are keeping as a long-term buy. So that's one thing that we will look at. And I think with respect to the PSU space, I think what is relevant is the deregulation of prices and price hike with respect to diesel and other petroleum products. But I think the issue is also with respect to how the subsidy will be shared between the oil companies and the government. So I think there will be a certain amount of muted performance there, notwithstanding the positive news. So I think within the oil and gas space, we like Reliance of the lot as of now.
And just a quick mention, a couple of mid-caps are on the radar as well in the kind of moves that we're picking up there. JSPL is holding on pretty well. Good ILFS Transport's trading firm as well. Alstom TND seeing some activity of almost 4% gains as far as that count is concerned. Shoppers Stop seeing a little bit of an uptick in trade today is what we're seeing. So there are a couple of stocks that are on the radar in terms of the way performance is actually panning out right now and the way it's seeing some kind of activity. The bank had a little bit of news flow around itself. That one's holding on pretty well is what we're seeing so far in terms of the kind of performance as far as some of these mid-caps are concerned and the way it's playing out there. Torrent Power up around about 1.7% as well. That's been the other one active in terms of the way brokerages are actually playing out in terms of the context. In terms of losers, Ashok Leyland's down about 1.8. You have EIH 1.5. Page Industries are a couple of stocks that are on the losing side. So, Dhananjay, then in terms of the outlook out here for markets, and one of the big events that we've been discussing about, and you've written a report on this as well, is the election itself and what it means for the markets. The question I want to really ask you very quickly out here is this being priced in, any kind of a positive outcome from the markets? Has that already been priced in for the markets, or do you believe the markets still have potential to shoot higher from here?
See, I think the consensus view in the media and also within the investment community is that Narendra Modi-led BJP government will be in place after 2014. I think the big issue, the big thing that the market is pricing in is that there will be change in leadership. Possibly there will be a stronger leadership later on, and there will be a change in policy shift in the policy framework. See, what we have highlighted in our report is that the key issue, the consensus view overrides the fact that the contest for the BJP is going to be fairly significant. So there are about 290 to 320 seats where the intensity of fight for the BJP will be very intense, and that's where they will have to get more than, let's say, 180 to 200 seats. So the success ratio that you require is very, very intense. I think the problem that I see in the consensus view is that the BJP would not be going into the election with a lot of alliances with the regional parties.
Fair.
And I think the regional parties have actually gained prominence over the last 20 years. So I think that's something that will somewhat neutralize the overwhelming consensus view. So I think there can be surprise over there.
All right.
So if what the market expects in terms of the leadership and change in guards, so I think there can be a positive response there. If it doesn't happen, then there should be some volatility.
All right, Dhananjay, we leave it there. Thanks so much for joining in this morning and getting us your perspective in terms of markets. On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of First Trade. Stay tuned. Coming up next is In Business, Tanvi Shukla.
First Trades, presented by BSC, Investors Protection Fund.
Presented by BSC Investors Protection Fund.